Hello, this is Kara from Kara Tarot with a grumpy review of Tarot of the Woodland Wardens. I will explain my grump in just a moment. And you know that's not my usual tone. But the fact that I just had about an 8-minute sneezing jag right before this, just as I sat down, didn't improve my mood, so it may come out a little more forcefully than I intended. Today, I received Tarot of the Woodland Wardens. As those of you who've watched my channel will know, I think I was one of the first people to mention this online as a pre-order on Amazon. I had just come across it by chance and pre-ordered it immediately. And herein lies the tale. So I follow Jessica Rue online. I do like her artwork very much. Obviously, I've had the Woodland Wardens, and we'll get to that in a minute. I've had the Oracle. But it was only about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago tops, when, you know, the word was they were getting ready to be shipped out. And she said, and then she had this special for on her Instagram, which you should know about. If you haven't bought it yet, go to her Instagram and look this up so that you can take advantage of it. And the special is that if you order it from a small bookstore, that you will get a special, picture card of one of the cards, and suitable for framing picture card. Now that's great. I love conceptually. I love that she's supporting independent bookstores over Amazon. Although there are independent bookstores that do their shipping on Amazon, so that's a whole nother schmear. But so I love that she's trying to do something special for independent bookstores. But this was months and months and months after I had pre-ordered. I was one of the early pre-orders on this. And so I said, I responded to her and I said, okay, I pre-ordered this almost as soon as it was available. So there's nothing for us? And I don't remember the exact wording, but it was basically like, oh, sorry, and which felt like, oh, so sad, too bad, you missed out. And I felt like, okay, so these people who waited until the last minute are getting rewarded with this special deal. And those of us who've been on board since the beginning, it's just like, oh, well, also Rant, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth about this. And I will say, her response didn't help. A nicer, more politic response could have been, this is something we were trying to work out, which only came up now. I'm sorry you missed out. It could have even been, thank you for being early on the boat. This is something we just started, and I'm sorry that it wasn't part of what we can offer you. Any of those would have been fine, but it wasn't. It was really short, and it was kind of like, so sad, too bad, bye. I thought, well, okay, here I am, somebody that has now purchased 2 of your products, and you are pretty much just raising the finger at me. It does not endear me to using either of these now, unfortunately, because I do like the artwork, but it leaves a really sour taste in my mouth, and which I will try to get over, but I don't know if I will now, because now I feel like this negative vibe from this creator, when, to be fair, she was just trying to do something nice for small bookstores, but the entire level of the interaction, by the way, my only response to her was an angry emoji, because I was just like, this is not okay. When somebody has, and it's not like I was expecting anything in particular, but a nicer response about it could have gone a long way. So it just left me feeling like, oh, this is a person who, once she gets her stuff done, she really doesn't care about the end product user. She doesn't care about the people who are buying her deck because she got her money. She got her money for her artwork. Now, I do know she's licensed all over the place. She's a bigger fish in the scheme of things in terms of, because she doesn't just do tarot decks. She does kitchenware and table, cloths and lots of other kind of prints. Anyway, it's like, wow, way to alienate people who bought your products. I'm definitely, unfortunately, no matter how much I love this, and if I already know that I will, it's, as I said, it's going to leave a sour taste in my mouth towards this deck, and it's going to also make me need to think twice before I patronize her again, because I'm sorry, when you're depending on people to buy your product, the way you speak to them matters. So that's my rant, and that's my grump. And other people have already gotten this. You will have seen other walkthroughs already from, I think, other people who did pre-order. I don't know why, when we're ordering through the same place, that some people got it in the middle of last week and I didn't get mine until today. It may have to do with how far it's traveling across the country. I don't know. So the box is really nice. It's not the same kind of box as the Oracle deck, but it's a nice sturdy box with a bio of her in here. And then let's go to the guidebook. I looked through this a little bit. She has a nice, starts off, I've always felt more comfortable around animals than I have around people. Well, we found out about that, didn't we? It might be on you. Meow, meow, meow. She goes into the major, just kind of basic stuff about reading. There are suggested spreads. That looks like an interesting Wheel of the Year spread. The Celtic Cross. And one thing I noticed is at the beginning of each suit in the minors, she has a page that just talks about the features of the suit and her thoughts about the suit itself. And then each item, the pictures are black and white in the book. There's a description of the card and how she feels the things in the picture describe elements of the card, and then upright and reverse, and then 2 questions on that you might think about when using that card, which is nice. And so that's the book. Let me take a moment at so the majors have a larger amount on each card. It's still 1 page. So what I thought I would do different, since other people have already done walkthroughs with this deck. I have said before how volubly I have, oh, the deck, the boxes are the same. That's nice. Not same style, not the same size. And that's because this book is larger and the box fits the book. And the cards are a smidgen smaller. With the same pattern, this is a dark aubergine, eggplant, purple, almost a black and white, but purple and white, and as opposed to the Oracle that had the golden print on a deep brown. So what I was saying is that the Oracle I have found to speak so strongly with one of my very favorite decks, the Forager's Daughter, that I thought I would look at all three of them together with the Oracle in the middle. Many of you have noted this Oracle works very well with a lot of different decks. And so you get a sense here of the thickness of the cards. Compared to the Forager's Daughter's cards. And also the size. This is more a traditional tarot size. And these are slightly larger, more oracle size. I do like very much that the decks are very much the same size, especially when they're created to work together. So I'm just going to kind of go through these now. These two are out of order. This is in order. So you'll really get a sense of things working. I really like this High Priestess card. I've been getting the Hierophant a lot lately. That's a fun take on it. I've noticed, even just passingly going through it, I noticed some things make the cards lighter in tone and some make them darker in tone. This is interesting. I had never figured out what my card of the year was until today, and my card of the year is the Lovers. And I particularly like this representation. It takes it very far away from the human sphere where we usually think of it. Very cute strength card. Love this Hermit card. Look how nicely they go together. A rather dark Wheel of Fortune to me, since that first glance that duck appears to be strung up. find that almost every deck has a card I really don't like, and I think that Justice card is one of them. The faces disturb me sometimes. Beautiful. Hanged Warden. Interesting death card. Not a favorite. I do love this Temperance card. I almost always love the Temperance card. I noticed this when I went through it on my own, and I like the scorpions being represented in this card. I don't really understand the bat. I really want to think about that, since I usually feel that bats are much maligned. The tower being a blasted tree with a crown falling off, and vultures. This is the territory of hers that I like more, a little more fanciful. The lovely star. Interesting that in the moon that it's a fox and a dog. Now remember how much thinner this deck was, and she has 5 or 6 additional majors in this deck. So this deck it's a really nice shuffling weight. This might be a little stiff for riffle shuffling. It is almost exactly, perhaps exactly the same cardstock as the Oracle cards. A cute nod to the horse in the Rider-Waite-Smith. Judgment being locusts and a butterfly is a lovely take, especially the locust being released from the shell. The world, I love these colors, and I really like dragonflies. I'm not really sure I understand this choice, but I like that illustration very much. And I'm not addressing these as much because I've worked with these together a lot. It's more just so you can see how the Oracle deck works with a different deck. Because there's a lot of this beige in these, and the beige background here, I think it speaks very well here, but I'm finding that it speaks just as well here. A boar. On a golden sea. That's an interesting choice. Lovely, 4 of Wands. I like this. This 5 of Wands really encapsulates the way I like to read this, which is more exploratory and more like practicing than the actual fight. I feel a loss of the other characters in the 6 of Wands. One of the elements that I always read with that is about supporting the other people who helped you gain your success, and this kind of strips that out, and so that's a loss for me in that card. Interesting, 7 of Wands. Love this. Love this. Just when you think of the noise of, so it's not just things rushing at you, it's a cacophony of noise as well. Oh, and here we have the 9 of Wands and the 9 of Wands. So we kind of have our human substitute here with the ram, I think this is, goat, with the wands. And here it's just left to this tiny, tiny mouse climbing up the wand there. I do like her art style. Nothing against this. This is one of my favorite decks, so it's not an either or for me. I think this is a good example of how I think this deck works even better with this than it does with this. To me, I mean, that's subjective, but here we have these purples and reflected and the earth tone and the darkness, and because they're having a beige border, I think they speak so well together. There's an example to me of that they don't, even though these tones are the same. Queen of Wands, black cat, and if you hear any things going on in the background here, it is my black cat deciding she has to get into something at the edge of the closet right now. And a salamander for the King of Fire. Interesting. I love the density of these blues in this deck. heels. The Three of Cups. What a mess. If those are your friends, if that's you and your friends, boy, what a mess. Oh, that's lovely. And it's this dense, dark blue in these, which I don't think is in this deck, or if it is, it's not very much. It's a new addition that's lovely. Now, I have to say, when I saw this come up, I felt that I was done getting animal decks. I felt that I had my fill. I don't feel the need to have a whole lot of animal decks, and I felt that I had what I wanted. I got this solely because I had liked this oracle so much that I just wanted to have that option of using this with the oracle. I do like the praying mantis here. Interesting play on praying. One of the other correspondences between these two is that this has a creature and a plant, and that is a feature of the Forager's Daughter deck as well. Every card has a creature and a plant. That element is not present here. I'll set this aside for a moment. Lovely. This, to me, is an example of why you can see she successfully does stationery and, you know, home decor items. It's just a lovely print. Hippopotami. So here we can look at the Queen of Cups together. Much more traditional, even with all of the changes. It definitely evokes the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith imagery in a completely different guise. King of Cups as an otter. Interesting. It just struck me. The Forager's Daughter is more poetic in its representations, and of course that's something that I'm going to be attracted to. That's lovely, that Ace of Arrows. I'd say you could point to these and say these are the best, some of the best of each of these decks. This is one of the best of this deck, and that's one of the best of this deck, and really encapsulating the style. This is clearly more anthropomorphic because of wearing the ruff than the Oracle was. Here again, more anthropomorphic, more wearing clothes and interacting more like people. I think these are bison in the Six of Arrows, and boy, doesn't that add a dark note to it. I'm just going to continue on through. So by being anthropomorphic, it's a little more fairy tale, whereas these are more biological drawings, botanical. Oh, here we have two again. The Eight of Arrows and the Eight of Swords. The definition in the images of this is stronger. This deck has more muted tones, and that can result in a more muted image, which I think, you know, for me, I don't always like that, but in this deck I do. It draws me in very much in this deck, and I feel enables me to work much more intuitively. Again, very traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, even to the point of standing in marshy water. Here again, I think you can kind of see these work very well together visually in their colors palette. This is stark. Although some of them are like that. This is greatly softened by appearing to be floating in the air and sweetly sleeping. This Page of Arrows appears to be more ready than most of them. Elk is the King of Arrows. Well, she has a statement in here that these are not coins, these are a flower. In her preface to the Pentacles. Our animal companions have no need for coins, the traditional emblems of pentacles, but instead carry moonflower stamped chips to underscore the themes of domesticity and prosperity in the natural world. The pentacles in this deck are inspired by the circular organic form of a moonflower, representing the reward for following mystery with curiosity and connecting with nature. Beautifully realized. And they certainly work well together. It just makes me laugh, this Four of Pentacles. So I just want to mention again, so the reason I threw this one into the mix is so that you can see the difference in how the Oracle is working with this deck as opposed to another deck that I already knew it worked well with. I'm finding that pairing very hit and miss with this. I'm finding it much more cohesive with this, and some of it has to do with the color tones. There are purples in this that I'm just not seeing in the tarot deck. Although that certainly has a symbiosis there that works well. And this deck is quite random. If you have it, you know. It's can go from black to sky blue with very different predominant colors, which is great for an oracle deck that you're going to probably use or often use one a day. I don't know if that makes it as good for pairing, but it does pair very well with many decks. The Seven of Pentacles. Now I know because I looked through the deck. The 8 and the 9 of Pentacles are kind of misses for me. I adore the illustration here, but actually, let me go ahead and look this up and see what she says about it. See if that makes sense to me. The Physiologus, a 2nd century Greek text, tells of a hedgehog who collects food to sustain her family over a long winter. Upon finding grapes growing on the vine, the hedgehog shakes the tree until the fruit falls to the ground. She then rolls over the grapes so that they stick to her quills. When the 8 of Pentacles appears, we are reminded of the clever hedgehog who used her unique anatomy to gather food more efficiently. Each of us has a special skill we can hone, and the more we embrace our natural traits and talents, the more rewards we'll discover. Upright, indulge in your passion projects and devote yourself to your craft. You have an important gift to share with the world, but you must take time and space to truly master your skills. Reverse meaning, you're in a creative rut. Try to remember what drew you to this discipline in the first place, and consider what you bring to the table that others might not. And the 2 questions to consider: do I nurture my creative hobbies? Do I take pleasure from the work I create? Well, that answers my lack of seeing why this would be about work. That definitely makes it applying yourself diligently. Now this one, this is my favorite card. I don't like what this says about this card, that the hawk has a hood on, or the falcon has a hood on. Now the falcon in the original may have a hood on, but he's being held by the lady, and the card, it becomes about her. For the card then to be about the falcon with the hood on as the main character, this changes the meaning of this card. I also see here that many people talk about in the Rider-Waite-Smith that they see a wall behind her. I don't see that in that card, and I've looked for it. This reinstitutes the wall as a trellis of grapes. So a lot of the sense of being blinded by your luxury, not appreciating what you have, to me, this is the reverse image of this card, of how I think about this card. This would be the reverse. The things that are brought out in this image are the reverse. And when I told you before, I look at the 7, 8, and 9 of Pentacles, and that makes a big difference for me on how I feel about the deck. So that's, for me, this is one of the biggest misses of the 9 of Pentacles that, for me personally, that I've come across. Followed by a lovely card. Followed by a 10 of Pentacles that I adore. And so we have the grapes and the moonflowers as part of this suit. But I love this grouping. We don't have the grandfather component in this card that we have in the Rider-Waite-Smith, but we do have this sense of legacy and of generations here. Some people hate spiders so much that having a card devoted to a spider would turn them off entirely. Not the case for me. I actually like spiders quite a bit. Here, we also have a blasted tree for the tower in this deck. The Knight of Pentacles is my dream boy, and boy, this is very funny. This adds a whole new meaning to his being slow to act. And it's at this point when I'm really feeling that this really does work better with this, and that I might want to look and see if I have another Oracle deck that works better with this, but I'd have to cast around. I don't have a lot of animal Oracle decks. And I might go more for the color schemes than animals if I were doing that. So from my grumpy rant at the beginning to a walkthrough, thank you for your time, to the Forager's Daughter Tarot. And I said this displaced some of my favorites to be one of my top 5 decks of last year, and has remained high in my estimation and through more use. So we've had a walkthrough now of the tarot of the Woodland Wardens with the Woodland Wardens Oracle that is justifiably beloved by so many of us. So you get a real sense, I think, of how it might work on your table. Delightful on its own. I'm not entirely convinced that it works as well with this as it's interesting. Had there been more of the herbal component, the herbal component of this in this, I think that would have tied them together more. And then the coloration, it makes sense for a tarot deck to have a more unified theme within the suits of the coloration. But that again makes it different from the oracle. So you can make up your own mind how much you like it. I do like her artwork, and it remains very charming. Love that. Always like her rabbits. And an interesting emperor. So interesting choices here, especially for animal lovers, and fresh takes. Burroughs pulling the chariot. So if you have it, and if you've had a chance to work with it, I'd love to hear what you think of it. I'd love to hear what your thoughts were in seeing it, seeing them paired out with a different deck on the table too. Thanks for listening to my rant, and thanks for spending time with me going through this new deck.